Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Data Faces podcast. I'm David Sweenor, founder of Tiny Tech Guides and your host for today's show. In this show, I talk with the people who are actually making data, analytics, AI, and marketing work in the real world. What's exciting, what's messy, and what's coming next. Today, I'm joined by Bruno Trimouille, the Chief Marketing Officer at Posit. That's a company built around open source and the data science community. Bruno's had a fascinating career leading marketing in both tech and the analytics space, and he's seen firsthand how open source and AI are changing how we work and innovate. So let's dive in. Bruno, thanks for joining me on the Data Faces podcast.
David, thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing over at Posit, and what does Posit do?
Sure. So I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Posit. I started that journey about 12 months ago, a little longer than that, actually. And you may have heard about Posit under a different name, actually. We were formerly known as RStudio, which was the name of a IDE, integrated development environment, really dedicated to data scientists. We rebranded a few years back, and our name is now Posit. And our mission is to create, as you said, open source software for data science, scientific research, but also technical communication. Today, we have about 10,000 customers.
Wow.
Amongst them, 1,800 of the largest firms, especially in regulated industries, and we can come back to that. And last but not least, every week we have millions, literally millions of users across the globe using our open source tools.
That is super cool. So what I want to maybe just start with the background. What first drew you into the world of data and analytics? Is that what you wanted to be when you grew up, the CMO of a public benefit corporation, or was it curiosity, opportunity, or just something else?
Great question. So I'm actually not a marketeer by trade. I'm an engineer by trade, software engineer, actually, to be a little bit more precise. And I've always had an appetite, being brought up in France, to really look at data backing, analysis, and again, scientific research. So I always had a little bit of a passion for that I carry through, not just in my engineering career, but also in my sales career. I was, involved with pre-sales engineering and also with consulting. Facing very demanding customers across many different industries and geographies too, and eventually winded up in marketing because I thought that was the place where I could put my technology acumen, also my sales acumen at work, and sort of amplify the impact of good messaging, good storytelling, good actually demonstration building, throughout the world. So I was, again, pretty attracted by data and data science, but the Posit opportunity really came on my desk, and I really dove in pretty quickly because I was attracted first by the PBC model. So we are a public benefit corporation. That is actually a thing in the US. Where we really have some guidelines to do good, guidelines to commit back to the community. And foremost, we are in to create a company that will outlive you and I, David. Our founder, JJ Allaire, really wants the company to be more than 100 years old. And by then, you and I won't be here, which means that, we need to recruit the next generation, empower them, groom them, coach them to pass the baton and for them to carry that through. We're not here to be sold. We're not here to be acquired. We're not here to IPO. We're here again to do good work aligned with the mission statement that I gave you.
I love that. And that's pretty rare in this day and age. Most companies are, I don't know, these huge valuations that people are seeing out there. So, kudos to Posit and yourself and the team. So, you've been in this data and analytics space quite a while, Bruno, and we've seen analyst firms and industry trends. Are monolithic platforms, best of breed, and it's sort of the pendulum swings, depending on the year. So how do you see this whole market, evolve as open source tools, open source, matures and adoption increases?
So on my end, one of the things that I was really sort of seduced by when it comes to Posit is sort of really core belief that we need a code first approach. And we didn't choose that randomly. We choose that based on some research that was done in the data analysis space.
Mhm.
And it was found and also documented by somebody named John Chambers, not the CEO, the ex-CEO of Cisco, but a renowned, I would say, scholar, and also the creator of the S language, which was a precursor to
Sure.
R. And John Chambers said that, for software to be reliable, things need to be verifiable, and things need to be trustworthy. So for us, it means that the concept of data science being inspectable and reproducible, thus trustworthy, is paramount. And today, the best approach to do that is a code first approach. So I was really very seduced by that. But then when you sort of stratify the offering today, you can say, well, there is code first, here, and it really speaks only to the developer. And there is, low code approach,
Right.
it's the data scientist. But what was interesting, and I saw that coming a little bit, is at the time I was discussing with Posit, I saw the advent of AI to sort of bridge the gap, frankly. Because if you think about it, yes, there is power in empowering the business stakeholder to do things on their own. But why do we want to do that? Well, we want to do that to kind of speed things up, right, and gain velocity.
Sure.
And I think AI sort of creates a middle ground approach, which is still code first base. It kind of bridge the gap, especially when it comes to speed and quick turnaround time, and bring this code first approach really, frankly, much closer to business stakeholders.
That's really interesting. I think you're right, because there's been this, chasm, I guess, between low code, no code, and code first. And low code solutions are great, but if they don't do what you want, you're sort of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And now with Gen AI, everybody can be a coder. The question is, do you want me writing the code for your business? I'm wondering sort of what trends you're seeing there. Is it bringing more business people there? Everybody has Cursor or Lovable or pick your IDE, but is it increasing risks, do you think, to organizations?
Yes, I would think so. So speed has to go with governance. When we talk to any of our customer, we see and feel the tension, right? It's almost like on the left side, you have your data scientists, and they want speed. They want to access data at speed. They want to quickly model and share, outcomes with business stakeholders. Business stakeholders, look, they want speed as well. Today, the I would say key reason why you would want to do data science is to help you tap the power of data to make faster and smarter decisions. So
Right.
decisions have to be done at the speed of business. And then the business stakeholders, sometimes they see something and they want to quickly feedback, with the data scientist, and that spinning wheel need to go really, really fast. So I think there's a notion of governance that needs to be built in. And for us, it's very intrinsic, I would say, to the product.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming to your comment on AI, I mean, for us, we just unveiled a number of AI-driven capabilities. But for us, we call it responsible AI. It's not a marketing term to it. It's really, ensuring that everything that AI generates is actually a piece of code, some SQL queries, some technical artifact that, again, can be inspected and run for reproducibility.
So, I have heard on many occasions that this balance and this need for governance, does governance slow things down? I think it's important, but you get this argument, well, I can't deal with all the rules in my company. It just takes too long to deploy things. What's your perspective on that?
So look, for us, it's actually very key and very central to how we design the offering. As you said, it's a central challenge in modern data science. But we have the strong belief that actually the most effective model for scalable and responsible data science, this is not a zero-sum game between innovation and governance, but rather a framework where governance enables innovation. So again, it goes back to code first. If you adopt this code first philosophy, then it sits at the core. Around it, I will draw a first circle, of centralized and secure data foundation. Obviously, right. Data science has data. Data is at the core. And this is one of the reasons why we have great collaboration with some of the technology partners you would see us market with today, like Amazon, Databricks or Snowflake, because security, governance, data lineage access at the platform level, or at least at the data science level, is really, really key. Then around that, you draw a layer of, code first data science, not just the data science modeling, but the whole workflow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here you make sure that the workflow is, again, repeatable, transparent, expectable. Everything is really well documented. Look, transparency is really non-negotiable for a number of use cases and a number of our customers. And then the last layer is what you could call, more like agile development, deployment, and the feedback, right? If the data scientists can use a platform to instantly deploy model, expose that to business stakeholder, they can play with it, quickly engage and give feedback pretty much directly, things can happen in real time. And that pretty much unlocks things. So for us, again, we see this tension, speed, governance, but we believe there are two sides of a coin to actually foster innovation and overall faster decision making.
It's interesting, and you spoke about models and governance, and if I was looking at the website earlier, and you do a lot with apps too, so it's more than just a model that feeds some other system. These data scientists they're building applications. Did I understand that correctly?
Absolutely. So when we talk about sharing assets, let's call them data-driven assets with business stakeholders, those assets sometimes, by the way, are APIs. We're seeing, for instance, some credit agency or government agency, sharing access to their model via API, and we facilitate that. Then, the next thing could be some dashboards that can be produced on a nightly basis. KBRA, for instance, is a credit agency that produces report, that have to get generated on schedule and pack some insights as well. It's not just about the report, but it's about the insights that are packed with the report. And then we can go all the way to interactive application. If you look at a company or a institution like NASA, they do have interactive application where they look at their staffing needs, staffing prediction, and really complex mission like going back to Mars, and interactively play different scenarios, drill into the data, do what-ifs analysis, and really, I would say, interact with the data to, again, drive better decision and report on human resources commitment.
Sure. Wow, that's super cool. It sounds very, very impactful. I want to maybe switch gears a little bit on this notion of open source. And we've seen some of these large generative AI players switching their business models and things like that. So I'm curious, how do you approach this open, maintain the spirit of open source, but you also are a business that needs to make money in serving enterprise companies. So what is that balance, and how do you view that?
Yes. So look, open source is actually in the mission statement. So for us, it's a central part of the company's identity. But actually, instead of being antagonizing, we have created what we call the virtuous cycle. So what is the virtuous cycle? Well, we started with open source roots. We delighted our community, really engaged with them, made them champion, listen to them, and act in a very transparent way. That created great adoption. Again, millions of users on a weekly basis. Then what happened is, some of the data scientists in certain company, especially in the regulated industry, think financial service, healthcare, life science, government agency, started to make very meaningful applications and data-driven assets, I would say, with these capabilities. And as you know, when this thing bubbled up, IT is going to want to drive some governance, right? We're talking about security, we're talking about access control, governance, and all the capabilities that are required for enterprise deployment. And that's how our commercial offering were created. Now, I want to say that our commercial offering are not just open source with value-add services. They are open source at the core, more code built around it, and that creates the commercial offering. Obviously, commercial offering drives revenue, and this revenue is then re-injected in open source innovation to the tune of 40 to 50%.
Oh, wow.
And the rest goes to the commercial tool innovation and things of that nature. So we call that the virtuous cycle. it's the flywheel, that has propelled the company to where we are today, but it's very central part of who we are. And again, we think about it as very symbiotic, right? Because the open source community helps us drive innovation.
Sure.
And then the enterprise adoption, allows us to create capability to drive adoption at the enterprise level scale and govern that innovation responsibly.
Why do you think organizations are looking towards open source? If I use an example, like, I don't know, like Microsoft, it's pervasive. It's not open source.
Yeah.
There's probably open source alternatives, say to the Office suite as an example. But why did for data analytics specifically? Why do companies want open source?
So we've seen sort of different scenarios. For instance, I can give you some scenarios in one of our top industry, which is the life science space. It was an issue of not having technology that was open enough. So again, transparent, reproducible, code first.
Right.
It was also an issue of skill set. Some of the skill set on specific languages and techniques were kind of vanishing. And so they wanted to tap that power of innovation, that power of transparency, that power of being able to open the aperture when it comes to sourcing talent in their domain. And so we are seeing today that the FDA, which is the Food Drug Administration here in the US, does authorize some clinical trial submission in new languages and in new formats, which is open source based. So it's a really quantum step, I would say, by a very established and very governed, agencies. To really look at that as new pathways. So it doesn't mean we forget about the old one. We could run things in parallel, but I think the need for openness, innovation, and the need to source new talent were key drivers behind the scene.
And they can future proofs them, I guess, in a way, in that they can just sort of bring it with them if situation changes. They have it, they own it, and can sort of do whatever they want with it, right?
100%. I mean, look, open is sort of antagonizing to locked. So yes, if you think about vendor lock-in, if you think about the perennity of the work that you do, I think open source definitely has some chops and some value to add.
Yeah, and the number of users that you quoted, millions of users or tens of thousands of users, maybe it sort of creates this community, maybe a cult-like community. Does it make it more sticky within organizations? I'm trying to understand, like, what a B2B leaders, what can they learn about open source models and building just really loyalty and long-term engagement, versus maybe more of a transactional business.
100%. Look, community is at the center of what we do. So coming in from more of the traditional enterprise background, I really had to shift my mindset. As a marketeer, sometimes, look, you see community as a marketing channel, right? But
sure.
If you are coming at it with, again, the open source mindset, you actually see community, how can I say, as almost a strategic extension of your own team, a strategic function that allows you to build almost a defensible moat around your business, frankly. Yeah. And so the way we build this very vibrant community, and also the way we behave as a company, the PBC model actually empowers us to do that, is we need to build trust through very active transparency, right? I mean, look, open source projects are transparent. We're transparent in how we invest in all those community projects, the one that we lead, and even beyond that. We are always, number two, thinking with the end user first. Some people say, well, it's bottom-up adoption. Look, you can't lose with that. If you have raving fans, which we do, they will really promote the technology within. They will promote the technology when they change jobs, and that's really, really key. So point number three, treat the community really as an extension of your team. They are part of the product development and support in a way. I know for some of us, including myself at the beginning, it's kind of mind-bending. It's like, wait a minute, we need to keep control. Well, point number four, you need to really empower, recognize, and elevate your champion. We have different programs for that. We actually, every Thursday, I'm going to do a little plug here, but every Thursday we have an amazing, what I call an amazing act of marketing. We have a community of data scientists, hundreds of them, logging online every Thursday, not to have Posit pitch to them, but to share amongst one another. Presenters are amongst our customers, so customers presenting to customers and users and prospective users. And that's been going on for years. And it's a great marketplace, I would say, for exchanging ideas. We're just here to facilitate. We're not here to do, hard pitch. We're here to share authentic story. As you say, some stories are great successes. There's also great learnings in failures, maybe in projects. So I think overall, focus on education, not promotion, and sharing the value of what the tools can deliver.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And I'll get the link from you and we'll put it in the show notes. So if people want to check that out, they can certainly do so. So maybe I want to shift gears a little bit. So we've been talking about open source, governance, a lot of things in the data and analytics, machine learning market. I want to switch to your role as a CMO and how AI is used in marketing. So can you maybe just share with the audience, the listeners and viewers, how is AI changing how you do marketing as a function, within Posit?
So as again, software developer by trade, I really, I think I have natural, curiosity to tinker and play with things. And I really saw AI as a fantastic tool at the beginning to really drive, I would say, productivity. Productivity to remove the blank page syndrome and start to have, content generated faster. Take a piece of content and change the tone, or get an email headline and have, A/B test done, in seconds right in front of you. I think to me that was sort of the level one. But then as I started to look around and also engaging with people like you, David, I really saw the power that this could deliver in not just being a bot sitting next to you, but literally a thinking partner.
Sure.
And what I'm talking about here is really asking open-ended questions. Actually, last week I was with one of our technology partners, and we look at market trends and we look at how we could tackle some of those challenges together. It's crazy, amazing how you could almost have market studies on tap. Obviously, you need to look at the citation and sort of configure the prompt. But the level of research that you have access on tap and can really customize the research, not just to analytics in general, but just data science, maybe even in a specific industry, and really look at the trends and opportunity is just mind-blowing. So I'm thinking about it as a thinking partner. I think we need to educate our team with the ABC, automation, prompting, etc. But overall, I think we need to push everyone to think about AI as, again, a thinking partner, not just a bot answering easy questions.
Yeah, one thing that always strikes me, and pre-AI has always been, hey, we need to define these segments, and maybe want to talk to a finance persona for this messaging and adapt it to life sciences or what have you. And now, to your point, you can do this in an instant. I'm curious, do you need a new set of marketing technology to operationalize something like this? What's in the past, I would say, hey, the capacity of an organization is maybe 2 or 3 campaigns at once or whatever. Pick your number, doesn't matter. But you see, there's new tech needed for this in a marketing function?
100%. I've seen it manifested. If you look at campaign as a spectrum, on the left, you need to understand your buyer. Well, it's fantastic to do that, right? This will never replace talking to a lot of customers and being, frontline. However, this can really arm you with a very comprehensive view that then you can test and check, with your own salespeople, with your partner, and obviously with your customers. So I've seen a lot of good work being done on the messaging and creation of all the ICP profile, of all the messaging, positioning, value-based, selling. Tremendous, impact here. I've seen it also helping out with how you would almost script, some of the initial pitch that you do, whether it's some email copy or some, phone message copy, or maybe even some talking point over slides. And then I have previously used, and we are currently deploying technology that put that in context. So this goes, first to tap intent signal and create models that combine those intent signals with your own, engagement model and sort of create an overall scoring and propensity model, which is great. But then allowing you to customize some of the content that you send. So think about it as you would fit it, pretty cookie cutter email sequences based on persona, use case, industry, those kind of things. But then you let the AI look at all the content that you have, your ebooks, your demos, your customer success story, and you can do mass personalization at scale. And I've seen conversion rates on a very targeted segment, let's say 100 to 200 people that were previously hand raiser, also known as MQL, that sort of got cold. I've seen conversion rate to the tune of 10 to 12%, meaning that those people were MQL in the past, dormant and silent in the nurture stream, and sort of awaken through this, AI-driven mass personalization. Obviously, you have the guardrail, right? The email template has certain placeholders and things. It doesn't write an email from A to Z or a pitch from A to Z, but the mass customization ability is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and you and I have worked together in previous lives, Bruno, and like messaging, you have some baseline messaging or a corporate deck, and you want to get review from the CMO, the chief sales officer, the chief product officer, what have you. And AI can behave as a role, and actually it's uncanny the feedback you get. Act as a skeptical buyer, review this, and then what comes out of these things is, well, I got 4 different opinions now. I still have the same problem. I still got to smush it together for one deck, perhaps for a general deck. But it's really cool on the role playing side of things.
Absolutely, and even the tone. I mean, you can do some pretty funny things and change the tone. Change the perspective. Almost prepare people to better handle objections. Frankly.
Sure. How about on the so we've been talking mostly about text-based content. Have you experimented anything with sort of the audio or visual aspects of it? Or I always think like it's probably maybe a different maturity level. Perhaps text is easiest to start with, and then as you want to add video or audio or images, it just takes a different level. Have you done any experimentation with those things?
So I would say we have 2 paths. The creative team at Posit is very oriented to preserve, integrity of sourcing, etc. So they're currently looking at how to best leverage AI while keeping the integrity and the publishing rights, I would say, in general. So they're experimenting with that. They said they will come back, before end of quarter. So I can't wait to see what they have in store. On the sort of sound and the other side of the house, we want and we are experimenting when it comes to training and creating some training content, literally based on script. Sometimes you have a written document and there's a lot of great information and you're really happy and you're kind of scratching your head and you say, my goodness, there are different kind of learners, right? Some people learn through reading, some people learn through actually hearing. And so how about being able to create, maybe again with a technology like Notebook LM, we tested that, the interactive podcast, for instance, create a soundtrack that literally discuss through the key point and becomes great learning material. So we're experimenting with that. Notebook LM is one of the technologies, and there's a few others that are in the works, but enablement material is definitely in scope and something we want to push the envelope on.
Yeah, actually the podcast that dropped today, a former guest, he specialized in sales enablement, and he talked about using AI for role play, and he's like the AEs and the SEs love it. So definitely something there.
Yeah, and actually, since you talk about that, we have rolled out, a new Why Posit deck, which is perhaps your first, elevator pitch that you do. And if our sales team happen to record the call on Gong, we have some automated AI-driven checks to make sure that they were on message and on target. It's not really Big Brother. They know about this. It's in the spirit of, again,
Sure.
improving and just making sure that you keep on message. But those things, were unfathomable. You would have to spend tens of hours, screening all the calls from A to Z. And today you can do that at speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been talking mostly about, using AI as, it's a productivity or efficiency play. Have you used it for it's great at data analytics as well. Have you used it in marketing for insights?
Yes. So for me, there's sort of two arenas that I've started to play with. One, again, is sort of the market survey, market analysis, trend, and I think it's a fantastic research tool, especially when you use the deep research function of whatever algorithm, and
Right, sure.
GPT is your favorite. So that's one arena. And then the other arena is, yes, some of the data analysis. So here we are also able to drink our own champagne, but we are starting to unlock some of that on our own data, on our own marketing data. And it's pretty fun to watch. So more innovation to be expected in the near future there.
Yeah. Do you see roles shifting within the company? Like are people say that are doing campaigns or something like that, they're able to do their own data analysis now, or maybe before you needed an analyst or an expert to help with that? Do you see like that or other examples of that within your marketing function?
Yeah, I think on the campaign side, there's definitely more velocity. So it's a matter of productivity. I think, look, on the product marketing side as well, it can make you very efficient to do, for instance, things like competitive analysis or win-loss analysis and just speed things up. Now, I must say, and no offense to those people, but I think it really changes the game on sort of your content production line. I'm not saying we don't need any content marketing. I'm really not saying that. But I think the content marketeer role has definitely changed. I think it shifted from more editorial-based, kind of focus to a focus of how can we, with all those tools and all those contributors, create a new kind of supply chain where content can be produced at more speed, can be mass customized to specific persona, and really fuel this sort of digital demand generation engine that's very content hungry, frankly. So again, I'm not saying content is gone. Actually, content is king, but the role of the people who used to be in the content marketing, I think, is really shifted. And in my opinion, it's a good thing because they can act as a facilitator, tap more people within the company to be great content contributor and creators.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And there is a risk, I think, I'd warn any company is you can create lots of content at scale, but it can be crappy content or good content. So I don't know if more is the answer, but maybe it can be of higher quality because you can use it for the research and have a more informed sort of tentpole asset, perhaps.
100%. And I think here, preserving sort of your own voice is really key. Maybe you can even use AI to make sure that the tone and the voice is right, a different model. I don't know how we can push it, but definitely, I wouldn't advocate to have AI generate something and you press the publish button and it goes. You got to have the right guardrail, but yeah, you need to keep your authentic tone and style, which is beyond graphics actually, and goes into how you address your community.
Sure. And so I think we're running close to the end of time. So maybe one last question is, staying on the marketing theme. So looking ahead, what skills do you think define the next generation of data-driven marketing leaders? Does the skills change? Do they need to be different types of people, generalists versus specialists, or I don't know?
Yeah, I think the in my opinion, you got to be curious. You got to be a constant learner. Gone are the days where marketing is very static. And if you look just 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, marketing has become a greater mix between the art and the creative stuff, but science and data, as you put in your question. So in my opinion, you need to have a more hybrid skill set. Again, think about AI as a thinking partner. I think it's really key. Marketing for me is a team sport, so the cross-functional collaboration needs to be there. And you may have even new teams you need to collaborate with. Today, I'm collaborating with a data science team, for instance, to really look at market and data insights. I think you need to think about your marketing stack as almost like an architecture, and you really need to carefully groom that and make sure that you bring on the right tool and that things are connected and that the data flows in and out. And I guess last but not least, especially at Posit, you need to be really grooming the community and being a very focused on keeping the brand tone and building the brand. That would pay lots and lots of dividend, because again, having raving fans beats all kind of marketing campaign you can put together.
That is perfectly said, Bruno. Well, thank you for your time on the Data Faces podcast. It was super informative. Where can people find out more information, or how can they get a hold of you?
Well, thank you, David, for having me. If you want more information, you can go on posit.co, and from that point, the world is yours. The world of data science is yours.
Well, perfect. Well, so Bruno, thank you so much for joining the Data Faces podcast, and I'll see you out there.
Thank you, David.
Cheers.
Cheers.